Good afternoon. I am Fitzroy Douglas, and we're here today with Mr. Neil Flanigan MBE, one of few World War II veteran that's alive today. And he's going to share a bit of his life story with us today. Good afternoon, Mr. Flanigan.
Good afternoon. Nice meeting you.
I'm very, very pleased to have you. I am very delighted to know that you find time to share a bit of your life story with us today. On behalf of Cyberview 360, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to you for your generosity in accepting this interview at such a short notice. And we're very much aware of your numbers that are depreciating. Mr. Flanigan is one of our great treasure that's in very deep. And we'd like to start by asking, where are you originally from, sir?
I came from Jamaica in the West Indies, went with parts of the British Empire. And to this end, I'm here in England because I was requested when Britain was having a problem with Hitler. And as you know, Adolf Hitler wanted to rule the world. Britain was short of manpower, and the local newspaper, which was called the Daily Gleaner, advertised. I was a young man, and for some unknown reason, I volunteered. And by chance, turned out that I was the 39th man to join the Royal Air Force in 1943.
Okay, could we just put a pause on that for a while? Early life, growing up, schools that you attended?
I went to the local Baptist school, which was oversubscribed. It was in the days of the Empire. Money, schools, education was not the major concept. It was my priority. So we got 50 children in one class, and that's a take a lot. And we have very, very, very little books. So most things were learned by rote. So your memory had to be good.
So what was it like from a financial perspective growing up in that community?
Well, I was a poor little boy. No, my parents, after I left the Baptist school, I won a scholarship. And I went to Walton College. And my other brothers went out of Calabar College and other colleges. So in that case, I was just lucky to get a scholarship. After I graduated, I did some work on a building site, and then I worked for the local newspaper called The Star. All right.
Those were the two jobs you had after leaving school?
Absolutely.
And what age did you left Jamaica?
Hitler's war started in 1943 and finished in 1944.
Right.
In 1943, England was desperately short of manpower.
Before I interrupted you, you were explaining to us about the advertisement that you saw in the paper. Could you just elaborate a bit more on the advertisement that you saw?
There's an advertisement in the local paper, the Gleaner, which says, "Britain needs you." And as such, here we are. Here I'm working for the local newspaper. I might as well do something different. So I had a word with my mother, and she says, "Go ahead." And because my mother knew a lot of people, I just walked past the line and went straight through. I took the office. Right,
just like that?
Just like that.
Wow.
I'm sorry to say I didn't stand in the queue.
Okay. So I think we jumped the gun a bit. I didn't ask about siblings. How many siblings were you?
I had 4 brothers. It's sad to say they all passed away.
My condolences.
And we all got through life reasons in the world.
My condolences. Mr. Flanigan, could you elaborate a bit about this document that we have got here? It says here the Jamaica Defence Force Finance Regulation 1942. This is certified that this permission is permit on behalf of Jamaica Defence Force. What was this actually is about? It also mentioned that this was your travel document at the time. Could you elaborate more about this document?
To leave a country, you have to have a documentation,
Hmm.
and that was the standard rates at that time,
Okay.
70 years, over 70 years ago.
Okay.
So those documents are what was the normal standard requirement of the state
Right.
when you live in Jamaica.
So you didn't need a passport. You just need
No.
this document.
I'm registered Royal Air Force,
All right. Right.
and it's during the war.
Right.
So passports weren't around.
So you already enlisted in the Royal Air Force prior to you leaving Jamaica.
I enlisted in the Royal Air Force on the 29th
Right.
of December 1943.
Right. So the cost of travel was £56 at the time.
Nothing to do with me, it's a cost.
Yeah, because it's noted here. Okay. So tell us about a bit about your journey.
Oh, I left Jamaica in the sunset,
Hmm.
and I could see Jamaica fading in the dark. And then we went to New York. Then we went to Cuba.
Yes.
Some of us landed at Cuba. Those were British citizens.
Okay.
British subject did not land.
Okay.
And then we went to New York. Ship, we embarked beside the Queen Elizabeth, who was then a troop ship.
Okay.
And when the Germans were a little bit away in the Atlantic Ocean, we tried to get across the Atlantic Ocean, which was infested by Hitler's submarines, which was torpedoing the tail end Charlie ships, sink them left, right, and center.
Wow.
Because shipping lines was a vital blood stream to keep the British economy going. Without ships, they couldn't afford it. People would starve and would short of production goods.
So you were actually experiencing the war before you got to Britain?
No, but I knew that it was there because
Right.
if I was torpedoed, I wouldn't be here today.
Right. So you were mentally ready for this?
No, we had to just live and hope for the best. We
Wow.
didn't consider, because as young people, you put that one side. We did have fire drills on board ship
Okay.
and emergency evacuation.
Okay. So when you get to Great Britain here, what did you do? How was your training?
First we landed at Southampton in the middle of the night.
Okay.
We were trained from Southampton to Cardington,
Okay.
which was a military base for trainers.
All right.
And Cardington, Bedfordshire. And we did about an 8-week course and turned a boy into a man.
Okay.
So knowing nothing about the military life, you had to learn fast. You had to fire guns, the Lee Enfield rifle, the Bren gun, and whatever they had, and grenades. So it's a protection one, life and protection, and making certain the enemy would get what is necessary that by what sort of like the weapons you had.
Okay. So what was it like for you coming from a tropical weather country? When you get here, how did you deal with the climatization? How did you deal with it?
That was considered difficult, very difficult. We had on about 3 pullovers. We were fortunate, we had about 6 blankets a day.
Okay.
We had one little coal fire in the middle of the room. And when the sun was snowing and the cold was cold, you just got to take it and learn to live with it.
Okay.
We had one uniform and one operation uniform.
Right.
It was a lot, and you had to march to the canteen that you would call today the restaurant.
Well,
That's just life.
we still call it cookhouse. Yeah, cookhouse. So I read somewhere where it says 16,000 persons from the Commonwealth, Caribbean, volunteered to join the Royal Air Force. How all of you guys fit in at the time?
Well, the 15,000 did not come one time, put it that way. They
Okay,
came in
okay,
different jobs.
okay,
Some went to Canada,
Hmm.
and they joined the Royal Canadian Air Force.
okay, Hmm.
And then they transferred to the Royal Air Force after, in the middle of during the war.
okay,
To those who came to England, they had to be retrained or trained in a course
okay,
depending on the education standards.
okay, okay. So, what was it like for you? Did you have a specific trade as it relates to
I
the
was
RAF?
offered different skills.
Okay,
We called it skills in that
yes,
time.
okay,
And I was selected to be in the avionics. Today's word.
Hmm.
It means the instrumentation of all the instruments on the aircraft to fly.
okay,
In addition to that, I learned to set up and adjust bomb size
okay,
so that when the navigator is flying his bomber,
Hmm.
or when the pilot is flying his bomber, and the navigator to get the bombs dropped to the right place,
yes.
everything would be right, so to drop it on the enemy.
Ah, okay.
A-Club was doing the same thing to us over
Hmm.
here.
Hmm.
They were dropping bombs on us nights and days, and people were dying.
Okay.
But it was war.
So you mentioned that you were on a course for 8 weeks.
Yes.
So after the 8 weeks, you were deployed, or
Oh yes, I didn't tell you. I had to go to a specialist training school,
Hmm.
and I spent about 2 months there.
Okay,
Because training at those times was pressure training,
okay,
without you realizing it. Because
Hmm.
the Air Force is very good at that.
Okay.
How to train you in the shortest time to get the most out of you.
Yes, yes.
And the skill which the British forces have,
Hmm.
and how to be alert, how to be smart, how to
Yes.
do your job without discussion or argument, because in the forces, you don't discuss it, you take orders.
Yeah, true, true, true. So what was it like for you when you were about to deploy? Were you deployed with a ration pack, a big burden? What did you deploy with?
Now I stayed on a military base, what is called an operational military base.
Okay,
Snow, rain, come, sun, we had to get out there to make certain that the aircraft is safe and airworthy to fly. So when you are qualified to a certain level, you had to send off the airplane and tell the pilot it's safe to fly.
okay,
So on your signature lies the lives of other people,
Hmm.
so as to keep them in the air to get where the enemy is.
Okay,
So they want to come back, but they don't think about it. They got a job, I got a job, and I got on with the job to the best of my efficiency and qualifications.
okay, okay. So you'd have witnessed a lot of your service personnel colleagues. Well, when you serve with with persons, sometimes they become a family. So you'd have witnessed a lot of them meet their demise. How do you feel that you are well and you're able to tell your story today?
When you live in a country in the time of need or sacrifices,
Hmm.
your views would be obsolete
Hmm.
because you're all together as one person, one nation, one veteran. You're looking after your fellow serviceman and he's looking after you.
Yes.
Whether you have a skill or you don't have a skill, whatever you're doing, you are all in the same field together. Collectively,
True.
you are one because there's only one person you have. This is
Yes.
an enemy who
Yes.
wants to take over the country and let you speak German.
Okay, okay. So what was it like? Did you have any means of communication with relatives after you joined the Royal Air Force and you were at war?
Yes, I did write to my mother, and I also, although the money was small, I did send back a few pennies to her.
Right.
And during the war, I used my spare time, even to when the bomb was dropping, to go to college, which is unusual.
Wow.
So while everybody was drinking and wasting their wonderful time,
You,
I was learning the skills of accountancy.
right, right. You mentioned that you, yeah, we'll come back on to your training. You mentioned that you wrote to your mother at the time. Roughly during that time, how long would it take for your mother to receive this letter?
That's a very, very, very good question.
Hmm.
Remember, it's going by ship.
Hmm.
That's about 6 weeks for one little letter to get
6
back to
weeks.
her. That's correct. We had no telegraph,
Hmm.
no forms of electrical transmission at that
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
Okay, we had a Morse code for the military,
Hmm.
but that sort of thing didn't exist in those days.
Hmm.
That's a different ancestry, different world as it is today,
Hmm.
where science have moved forward and we are in the digital age.
Right.
Everything was done on paper, everything was done direct
Yes.
transmission to people, and you had to get out there and talk about it.
Hmm.
Punctuality and efficiency was a core part.
Right, right.
And Hitler had punctuality himself, and
Okay.
it's true.
Okay. I understand that you writing to your parents or parent would be priority for them to receive it or to get it. But what about if your parents reply? How long would it take for you to get that
It's
letter?
the same time.
Just the same time? And it would be delivered exactly to you, or you'd have to go elsewhere
Well,
to receive
they
it?
would have, the Air Force, after find me where I'm stationed,
Hmm.
come to the mail,
Hmm.
and the corporal in charge of the area would distribute the mail.
Hmm.
So it wasn't just a quick turnover like what we do today. The efficiency and the facilities were not there. The complete, you cannot measure yesterday as with today, where we have moved on 70 years, and life has changed completely. The morality of the country has changed, where there is nothing, today there's something. May not be as good as we'd like it, but we have gone strides and strides away from the past.
Also, I've read somewhere where it mentioned that out of the 16,000 personnel that were a part of the Air Force from the Caribbean, it was only 6,000 could be accounted for after the war.
People die.
Hmm.
We had Africans, we had Indians.
Hmm.
They all died.
Hmm.
There's a tremendous amount of Indians who died, a tremendous amount of Africans who died. They may not have come to Europe,
Hmm.
but they were, and people from Canada, Australia, and all the other Commonwealth countries. But they were collectively, because remember, it was George V who changed the rules and the laws to allow people from the empire to join. And it wasn't done easily, because what the people of England did not, or the British Empire did not know, that they're not Europeans. So when they came here, they've never seen the myths they had about minorities existed in their minds, because they've never seen a black face before.
Yes, yes. I read somewhere where St. George, he was the last of the empires, and he died 1952. So how did you find being in the army, in the Royal Air Force for that period of time, and going through the war, because that's a long war, that would cause a lot of atrocity. So what was your thought? What was going through your head at the time?
I don't know my thoughts. I'm in the services.
Hmm?
I'm there to take orders and shoot the Germans
Hmm.
or kill the enemy. So those beautiful concessions you're talking about had no relevance with wars. Wars is wicked. Wars is terrible.
Yeah, serious atrocities. Yeah.
This is not a picnic. And it's not a laid-back picnics, and Russians, you were living with Russians. You didn't have clothes.
Yes,
Your
yes.
houses were bombed.